Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. This is the penultimate war number 11 of Season 48. I'm in a good mood for this one. This is taking place shortly after the completion of this war, so you can probably guess how this war went. Let's just get right into the fights. So I'm going to be on Path 4 again. The first fight is going to be against this Red Goblin. I haven't seen him before this season, even though he's tactic. I think probably most people don't have him ranked up, but this person did. I forget how what the rank was. I think it's a 7-star rank 1. Or is Red Goblin available as a 7-star? It was pretty high rank. It was either a 7-star or 6-star rank 5. But in any case, I'm not too worried about this Red Goblin, even though he's tactic. If I just take any tactic attacker, I should have a fine time with him. I used to fight him quite a bit in map 8 and AQ, so I'm very familiar with all of his movements. So most of my preferred tactic attackers were banned this war, so I brought in Domino to deal with this. I am also bringing in another tactic attacker, but I had a spot free in my team, and I was debating what the best thing to do was, and decided to just bring someone extra for this particular fight so that I could keep my tactic attacker clean for some mini-bosses. Because, like I said, Red Goblin is not the most complicated defender. It's a simple game plan. I really just want to focus on the L1s. Those are easy enough to evade. I do want to do a full evade. Theoretically, I could try to parry that bomb that he throws at you, but I think there's no reason to take that risk. I'll just do the full evade, build up my prowesses via parries and lights into block, and I'll throw those L2s from Domino for that big damage. So let's get right into the fight. And this one's kind of interesting, not because of anything Red Goblin's doing, but because of actually some unexpected surprise that Kabam sprung on us. So I noticed after my first few parries that, you know, those parries seem to be expiring a lot more quickly than I'm used to. And at first I thought maybe Red Goblin has some built-in like limber, like Craven does in his kit that I just wasn't aware of. But then I thought, you know what, I've heard about all these kind of mastery loadout issues, and before this fight is the first time that I actually built out my my new trees, right? So I was thinking, you know what, maybe somehow Stupefy and or Parry, I don't have all the points effective in them that I'm expecting to. And I'm pretty sure that is what happened, because I heard some other people also had similar problems. So I'm a little bit worried about that, but the fight's going well. Not having any issues with that shortened parry yet. But here I get parried, and he actually does quite a bit of damage on me. So that really threw me for a loop. But I know that, you know what, he's almost down. I thought I was going to kill him with the L2, but it doesn't do quite that much damage. But I'm not really worried, because I know, you know what, okay, I'm aware of it. Let me just make sure that I'm attacking really soon after the parry, and I can finish this fight off quickly, and I do. So right after this fight, I went back into my mastery tree, and I rebuilt everything, which, you know, from what I understood from the people who had issues with recoil, that's the solution, is that you just go back in and you rebuild the tree, and then it works. So that's what I did, and it seemed to work. When we get to a later fight, we'll see if it really worked 100%. But in any case, we're ready for fight number 2, which is going to be against Valkyrie here. Not a very common defensive placement. The only real trick with Valkyrie is that you know, she does have the ability to purify debuffs. So in theory, you can get surprised by trying to parry stun her and having her purify that as you're attacking her, and then she gets a combo off on you. But other than that, she really doesn't have anything really difficult in her kit. So I'm going to be bringing Nick Fury for a number of these fights. This is going to be my first fight with Nick Fury. And you can see from the win probability, I'm very confident about this. Really just watch out for those parry stuns, the possibility that they get purified. And otherwise, it just should be a very quick fight with my 6-star rank 5 ascended Nick Fury. We enter the fight. I go ahead and bait out successfully a heavy, and I'm able to counter that. And I'm able to do that actually quite a few times this fight, which is good. I couldn't really remember if Valkyrie in general is someone who's easy to bait out heavies from, but I was having an easy time of it without having to take much block damage. So I go ahead and throw an L1 so that I can knock her down, so that I can purify those debuffs and get a Fury up on myself. Let's see. I don't really take full advantage of that Fury. Most of it expires by the time I get to counter. But I get a full combo in. Does some decent damage. Now, what I was alluding to before when I said by rebuilding that tree, did I actually get the full benefit? I haven't gone and looked in detail, so this is, possibly erroneous on my part, but I'm not sure that I was actually getting full deep wounds on those bleeds. It just felt like I should be doing more bleed damage. And so what I suspect is that when I rebuilt my tree, I only rebuilt the defensive tree, or the proficiencies tree. Whichever tree has the parry and the stupefy in it, that's the only part of the tree that I rebuilt. And so I suspected, based on what seemed to me to be subpar bleeds from Nick Fury, is that I actually need to rebuild my offense tree as well. I don't think I actually did that. I think I actually just finished off my next few fights, and then I went and rebuilt my tree. So I don't know for sure, but it is a possibility. So anyway, easy enough. Fight number 3 now. It's going to be against a Shocker. Shocker isn't a great defender, but he does have a few tricks to him, which can make it... He's one of those defenders that it's not really that he's tough, it's more that he's annoying because of the number of different things that you have to kind of remember as far as his own special abilities. The fortune here is that this is not a Battlegrounds fight. This is just a war fight, so I can take things kind of slow and conservative, and it's not going to hurt me, right? Whereas in Battlegrounds, you can be a little bit annoying because you're feeling pressure to go fast, and that's what can get you into trouble. But in any case, I'm going to be using Nick Fury again. And like I say, safe Shocker gameplay here, right? So it's nothing really about the node, it's just about Shocker's own abilities. So he has that shortened parry. I'm a little bit gun-shy because even though I rebuilt my tree and the parry stun timing looked fine in fight number 2, for all I know, it could go away on me again, right? So I really don't want to be trying to punish, or not punish, but just, to follow up my parry stuns with a combo. I don't really want to see that L2. It's not going to be the end of the world if he does throw one. I'll just block it all, but a lot easier to just bait out the L1s. Those are easy enough to evade. However, one thing that can get you into trouble is that his SP1 recovery time is extremely fast. So unless you're kind of close to him, trying to punish that L1 can definitely lead to you getting either parried or just countered, reverse intercepted. So, yeah, I want to bait the L1s, but I don't want to punish them. At least not unless I'm really sure that I'm close enough to do it without getting into trouble. He also, and the last part of his special, I guess, bit of abilities is that when he goes over 50 charges, that means that he can auto block you as well. He's going to be unblockable whenever he dashes in. So I just need to be kind of mindful of all of that. Just take it slow and steady, and it should be a straightforward fight. So let's now see the footage. Was I able to successfully, I guess, execute on that conservative game plan? So I parry, I don't punish. I probably came in a little bit soon after that heavy, but anyway, it was successful. Another parry that I don't punish. So I am following the game plan so far. So fortunately, he's being very liberal with throwing his heavies, and his heavies are pretty easy, as long as you're quick. So I don't punish that L1, that's good. He is starting to build up his charges here. But I'm being good about punishing these heavies. I'm knocking him down, so I'm going to purify these 2 debuffs and get an unblockable. Although I'm not sure I actually use it. Let's see. Yeah, I wait for this to expire. He's now unblockable. So I'm going to try to go for an intercept, I think, to reduce his charges. No, not yet. Okay, there I do get an intercept. And so I do reduce his charges back down, so that buys me some more time. I do punish that L1. I'm not sure if I was at a distance where it was completely safe, but it worked out okay. So now he's got a lot of charges again, so I'm just going to have to be a little bit careful. Let's see if I go for another intercept. I do. It was a little bit of a shaky intercept, but it worked out. So I counter with a striker. I can't throw this L2 because he could auto block it. And there, I actually got tagged. I actually had an indestructible boost on. I forgot about that because I was a little bit nervous about just the possibility of him. This is a 7-star rank 2, so if I ever messed up, I was a little bit worried about him sending me into second life. I wasn't really worried about dying, but I really wanted to stay in my first life because there were 2 more fights that I needed Nick Fury for, and I needed that little bit of extra safety buffer. So it's always safe to throw the L3. I got it to my L3, I threw it, and he's down. So a straightforward fight. Things are going fairly well so far. let's see if we can finish off the path fight successfully. So last one is against Knull. Again, I say it every time that this is a very common placement for him. Usually I'm using Elsa. I have taken him before with Nick Fury. The key thing with Nick Fury is that I want to use that Power Start 1 boost so that I can very easily knock him down early in the fight and purify all of those Living Abyss debuffs. And then from there on out, it's fairly straightforward. This is a 6-star rank 4 Sig 200. So although the Sig is high, because I'm using Nick Fury, that doesn't really matter. He's just going to purify all of the debuffs on the knockdowns, and 6-star rank 4, so I should be punching down a comfortable amount. So like I said, I'm going to use that Power Start 1 boost, fire it off at the first opportunity so that I can knock him down and purify the debuffs, and then just the standard, just don't let him throw SP1s and it should be fine. So this fight, I will let you know early on that it does not go according to plan. So I'm waiting for a safe spot to throw that L1, and I think right about here is when I elect on his dash in, but he actually parries me in time, parries the attack.
No!
Which is quite frustrating. So now, go for a wild intercept, and he intercepts me. I'm a little bit of trouble. I haven't lost too much health, but then he catches me again on a dash back, and now I'm down to 50%. I still have all these debuffs up on me, so he's still unblockable, and now I'm in the corner. Fortunately, that wild heavy does connect. So now I'm unblockable, and I've cleared out the debuffs. So that gives me a little bit of breathing room, but I've lost a lot of health. I have this power sting on me I want to be mindful of. So I want to go ahead and dodge this L2. And it turns out, I thought, you know, I'm close to 100% success rate at dodging that L2, but I guess in the corner when he's unblockable, yeah, I just couldn't do it. So now I'm down to 10% health. I think I actually took a power sting there. I don't know if I was fully aware of it at the time, but I knew I had some buffer to play with, and I just need to get out of the corner. So hopefully I can dex this L2 successfully. So I do this time. So even though he's unblockable, I guess I wasn't enough in the corner that I still had room to dodge him. So I did intentionally that time. I took the power sting damage because I knew it wasn't going to send me the second life, and I felt like if I can get in the clear here, then I can get a quick finish, and that is what turned out to be the case. So definitely a hairy fight, much hairier than I would have liked. It turned out not to matter. So I was trying desperately to stay in my first life because I was planning on taking another mini with Nick Fury. And I really wanted to, you know, have that safety buffer available for me. But what turned out is that just the timing of when everybody was moving, some people needed to move while I was asleep. So they ended up taking the fight that I was planning on using Nick Fury for. So all this trying to stay in the first life was kind of for naught, because I never actually use him again. So I only have one more fight to take, and it's a challenging one. So usually I've been staying away from Onslaughts and Serpents, even though obviously, especially before they made that change to scoring that really took out duplicate placements as a valid strategy. You know, we saw a lot of Serpents and Onslaughts. And so I've been steering clear of them because I just didn't feel confident enough that I could solo. But, you know, we're getting late in the season. At the time that I was planning out my path, not a lot of mini-bosses had been claimed. And I thought, you know what? Okay, I've had a few good wars. Let me challenge myself and see if I can take out this Serpent. So he is a tactic defender. I'm going to use a tactic attacker. And one of my favorite champs to use, which is the Void. I didn't bring him just for this fight. I actually was mostly bringing the fight because there was another mini, which it was the same story that I was planning on taking. The timing didn't work out. It was a Thing mini on, I think, node 37. So that's the primary reason why I had brought Void. So now I'm using Void just for this one fight. Void is Incinerate immune. He is not Poison immune. But he's a decent Serpent counter. I don't think he's probably one of the top 5 or 6 counters that people think of, but you know, he does have the Petrify, so that lets him deal a little bit more effectively than most champs with his immunity phase, as well as, to some extent, I think, his power gain phase. So I'm going to start with the Power Start 1, try to just inflict those intimidating presence debuffs as early and often as possible. going to have to really be effectively using hits on block. Now, you know, often Serpent is going to be going into that inexorable mode, so hits on block isn't really going to drive him back, but still, whenever possible, I want to be hitting on block because it has the double benefit of also, well, actually maybe a triple benefit here, right? That if I can get some spacing, great. If I can also build up my prowesses, then great. And then thirdly, since I have to wait out for the most part the poison phase, it's also going to buy me time while the poison phase is active. I do want to try and parry the specials if I can, at least the hits of the special that can be parried. But I want to be conservative, right? So, you know, chip damage, based on my duels, I knew that chip damage is probably what's going to do me in. So I do want to parry if possible, but I also don't want to be so reckless that I go for a parry and end up just missing completely. You know, because obviously, you know, that's just a quick route to death. So that's most of the idea. And then finally, you know, look for opportunities to bait out those heavies. He is stun immune, so I'm going to have to be creative about looking for my openings. But again, chip damage is going to be a killer here. So you can see I'm only giving myself 25% chance of soloing, you know, based on my duels. And I told my leaders, look, I'm willing to take this fight, but I'm not confident on the solo. Based on my duels, I'm thinking that it's going to be one death, possibly two. And they said, just go ahead. We were comfortably ahead at this point. So even though we're comfortably ahead, I boost up significantly as if this were a fight that really counted, because I really wanted the practice to see if I could do it. So enough jibber jabber. Let's go ahead and see how this goes for me. So I get a heavy right away, and I'm going to be able to throw that first L1. And I do get a petrify right away, which is great. So I'm looking for that second opening. And so Incinerate's about to expire, so I only get a few hits in before poison phase. All right, now I'm looking to bait out this this L1 of his. He's being a little bit stingy, but now he goes. I don't parry the beam. I was trying to, but I just didn't get the parry down. So he's winning the health race early, but again, it's Void. He's a ramp champ, so not too concerned about that. Unfortunately, he throws a heavy again, so I'm wasting a second Incinerate phase. I go ahead and just for spacing, hit it a couple of times during poison phase. I do get a poison on me. Now I get 2 poisons on me. I'm going to have to do it again. Fortunately, that last set of hits did not trigger any poison. So now all the poisons have expired. We're in Incinerate phase. Get another debuff up on him. So now those debuffs are starting to do work. I'm feeling a little bit more confident now. So another poison phase I have to watch out for. He throws the L2. Parry, parry. Good. Okay, so a little bit longer on this next poison phase. All right, now let's see if I can bait out the heavy. That's almost perfect timing that I get to throw the heavy right as Incinerate phase is starting. So I get some good damage in. So now I am winning the health race. And now he's starting to tick down pretty quickly. So now my confidence is really high. I'm thinking, oh, maybe I can get this solo. So poison phase, I have to wait it out, and now I'm getting cornered. A little bit nervous. I'm not going to be able to parry this. I just go ahead and take it on block. It does quite a bit. And now I'm taking some poisons too. But I felt like I had no choice. I don't think I would do things any differently if I had the opportunity to redo. So he's down to 15%. Feeling good, but I'm still kind of close to the corner. Really want him to throw that L2. And so can I parry? I do. But I started at 27%, and he took me down to 7%, even with parried hit. So that was a little bit disconcerting. So now I'm really hoping, can I just race to that final death immunity phase and just keep on wailing away on his block? But he goes, you know, he goes aggressive at the wrong moment, and I just can't counter and end up dying with him having 1 health point left in that death immunity phase. So that was a little bit frustrating. There was like 2 seconds left probably. If I had been able to wait it out, that he would have just died instantly once the death immunity expired. But I'm not going to complain because, you know, I had some things, some kind of lucky occurrences as well during that fight. So that fight went about as well as I could have expected. And I feel like if my Void had been Ascended, so there's a 6-star rank 5 Ascended Serpent. I'm using a 6-star rank 5 Unascended Void. I think if my Void had been Ascended, I would have killed him. So I just, because the war was won at this point, I just did a 40% revive, no heal, and that was enough to just finish him off that last 1 health point. Okay, so I felt still good about that performance, even though it is a death. Again, it's the first time that I really... Well, I did also take, I guess, a bullseye earlier, but that was during a disastrous war. So this is the only time that I really felt like I had my wits about me for a difficult fight. And I felt, you know what, I did the best I could. It was a fairly good result. I'll do even better next time. So that's part of why I was in high spirits at the beginning of this video. And the other reason is that this war did go very well for us. So you can see by the kills stat that, you know, once we got into the latter phases of the war, I think they knew that we had the advantage of them, on them that they couldn't overcome. So they started just spamming revives to finish off. So this is great. So we are, I think, 6-1 at this point over our last 7 matches. So we really rebounded very well from a shaky early start to the season, and we're now, I think, 3 wins deep into tier 2. So that's a really good feeling going into. We still have one more war. We're going to take it easy this last war. So even if we lose that last war, we're still 2 wins deep into tier 2. So, you know, having more leeway, some more kind of cushion would be nice. But still, it's a lot better than what we started this past season with, right? I think we started this past season actually a couple losses deep into tier 3. So being a couple wins deep, possibly, you know, 3 or 4 wins deep into tier 2 after this last war is going to position us really well for season 49. So I'm very excited about that. We'll see if I do a video for the last war, since again it's going to be a kind of a war where we're easing up. We're not going to be using heals or really significant boosts. If I have some interesting fights, I'll share them, or I might just kind of do a season in review kind of video. In any case, that's going to do it for me. As always, please do like and subscribe, and please do leave some comments below if you have any feedback for me. Really appreciate it. I've been getting some good comments on my last few videos, and it really makes me happy to see that kind of feedback. So, all right, that's going to do it. Have a good day. See you all later.